Welcome to the Modern Assyrian on ANB SAT. My name is Carmen Morat. Today's special guest is Diego Martinez. He's been on this program before, a candidate for the governor of the state of California. Welcome again, Diego.
Thank you for having me back, Carmen. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. Thank you for making time out of your extremely busy schedule to be with us today. I know how extremely busy your campaign is. I've covered you online and your campaign, and you are everywhere. You are so in touch with different parts of California, of the Northern California, Southern California, everything that's going on. Share with us what is the latest effort that you have engaged in that our viewers should know about, Diego.
Well, one thing that every viewer should know is that there is a recall going on of our governor. It's not fake news. It's actually happening right now. It is a one time. This isn't very easy to do. So a recall, it takes all of us to come together as a union. So it doesn't matter what party line you belong to, whether you're on the left, the right, in the middle, somewhere around there. When there's a recall, it happens for a reason. It's because people are not happy with our current governor of what he's doing and the policy that he's putting into play. So when we do that is when we call a recall. And that's what we're going through right now.
You're absolutely right. It's everywhere. We see the signs as we're driving on the highways and freeways, as we're entering and exiting supermarkets. Let's educate our viewers a little bit more about the effort of the recall, what it means. In California, we are very used to hearing about recalls. There is a lot of attempts and efforts that are made, but a majority of them are not successful. For example, the only successful recall of the governor was with Governor Davis, if you recall, for those of us who are old enough to remember. And he was succeeded by Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. So a Democrat governor was actually recalled in a very blue state, so it is possible, and replaced by a Republican governor. So it's important to state that because we talk about, how liberal our Sacramento capital is. We look at the legislature, we look at the number of assembly members and senators. The reality is of how our assembly and senate pass legislature and laws. However, it is possible. There was a precedent set. Let's talk about the momentum that right now is in this recall effort, Diego. You were recently in San Jose at an event where it had to do with the penalties that are impacted to everyday Californians. It has to do with how different people feel that our governor is not doing what they expect him to do with the closure of our churches and our schools. Tell us a little bit about what you learned from talking to those clergy and to the parishioners.
Well, the first thing is this: we need 2 million signatures to make this recall happen for it to be legitimate. So what they do is when you see a recall out, you'll sign your name. You have to make sure you sign it specifically the way you voted. You got to keep it all in the box, make sure it's nice and neat, and make sure you don't make any mistakes. If you haven't signed the recall before of June of last year, you need to come back in and read again because this is the third or fourth effort of recalling Gavin Newsom. So every time that a new one's people have to come back and sign. So at the beginning, it was really tough to get anybody to come and sign me. Oh, we already tried this. It's not going to work. Well, it's not that's not going to work. I think our governor finally gave us enough reasons. And I say they're very simple. I'm out campaigning every day. I'm out talking to people, and people say, well, you're this, you're never going to win. California is this umbrella. And my idea is not even about party lines. Forget about who your party line is because all our politicians have failed us across the board. And what I mean by that, people say, no, they're good people. They're very good people. The problem is, if you don't like to work, if you don't like your kids going to school, if you don't want church and actually go and search, say your prayers, and be with other people just like yourself. If you don't like to go to your small business, and a lot of us immigrants are small business owners. We own restaurants, we own jewelry stores, we own clothing stores. So if you don't like any of that stuff being open and you'd rather just go to Walmart, Costco, and you enjoy eating at the taco trucks, we have a great state for you. Please not sign the recall. There is no need. But because most of us want to go to work, we own a small business, we love God, and we want to go to church. We want our kids to get back to school and get educated. Is why I say that our politicians in a whole, both parties have failed us. Because you haven't seen one of our politicians or representative electeds, not even the county council, come out and say, hey, let's open our city up. Like, I got to give credit to Atwater. You guys know where Atwater is, about that big. And the mayor over there said, we have a sanctuary state for illegal aliens, for drug dealers, for everything else. He said, what if I make Atwater, a sanctuary city business? So what he did is he returned, he didn't get the federal funding, but his businesses are open. So if you could go to Atwater and all their businesses are open, they're doing it in a safe manner, they wear their mask to go into somewhere and eat, but they're open for business. That is probably the only town that stepped up and said, hey, we're going to do something about the people. I have a lot of respect for the mayor of Atwater because of what he did. So when I say our politicians have failed us, that's what I'm talking about. They have not stepped up for our better good. They don't care about your small business. They're a Democrat. They don't care if you're a Republican. They don't care if you're a Libertarian. You just choose. They didn't care. They just went across all of us across the board. So what's the push for the recall? The biggest push that we got was that our governor said back in March, he said, shut down, stay home, close your businesses. 2 weeks, I think it was. Then we're going to move the curve over, and then everybody's going to be okay. So we did it. Everybody did it. I closed my businesses. Everybody just closed their businesses, stayed home. When we went out, we wore these stupid masks that were made in China. That's another problem we have, but we'll talk here. So you have these masks. We go out. Then he starts saying, okay, state in different categories. If you're a red, a yellow, or green, you can't be open. You can only be open here. But then they made a lot of small businesses, just like myself and a lot of your viewers out there, spend a lot of money in putting up petitioners, dividers, in a restaurant 6 feet apart. You can't eat at this table, you can eat at that table, 25% of capacity. Then it was, you can eat outside. Hey, not bad, it's only 110 outside. Let's go out and have lunch, you know? But we did it. We all sucked it up and we all went and did it. So what happened is, we'll speed up just a little bit. December, right before Thanksgiving, Gavin Newsom decided to say, you cannot be with your family during Thanksgiving. You can only have 5 people at your house. If your neighbor sees somebody, they're going to call the police on you. The police, they're going to arrest you. They're going to find you. They're going to do whatever it takes. So what happened, the local sheriff said, now, we're not going to sit here and we're not going to enforce that law because it doesn't make sense. These are people's rights to have whatever they want in their house. So what happened at that point was our governor and 12 of their friends went to his winery, which he didn't close, and they were sitting right next to each other. They had no mask. They had no social distancing. Now, do keep in mind, this is the man that says, I am doing all this with science. We're closing down the state because science says, well, he's the guy who has all the science in the world, right? He's the one making the rules. The science must say that we can sit next to each other because you took your wife, your partner, your lifelong partner to sit next to you with 10 other people next to each other in your restaurant, in your winery. That kind of didn't make sense unless no one of winery here, not allowed or something. But so because of that, a lot of people got upset. I was one of them because I lost a business over it. I see my friends up the street who own a restaurant, they're losing their businesses over. They can't just do takeout. So December 3rd comes around, and here goes another shutdown. Well, I think enough of California's had enough. Churches, we're talking about San Jose. I was with Calvary Temple Church. Pastor fined $1 million for having his church
Wow.
open and letting people in. So I want everybody to understand this. I'm not for breaking the law, and I don't condemn it. But if I can go into Walmart, Safeway, Save Mart, Lowe's, Home Depot, I can go to all these big stores. What do they require us to do, Carmen? Put a mask on. You're telling me we can't go to church and put a mask on and walk into church? If somebody can explain the difference to me, then they're right and I'm wrong, and I'll just get off that subject. But you can't go to your local clothing store that Bob and Betty own down the street. You can't go buy candles from somebody because it's not essential. But all these big box stores can, and all you have to do is wear a mask. Think about this, and this is what really got me infuriated. I went into now every grocery store now requires you to wear a mask, and I usually don't wear a mask, but because the store asked me to, I'll put a mask on. I'll walk in, and I'm walking around one day, and really I just kind of had a little bit of time to kill. I was grocery shopping, but didn't want to get home too early because you get home early, and what do? You start cooking, and then you eat way too early. The food's cold when everybody else gets there. So I was kind of killing a little bit of time looking at the produce, and I saw a lady with 3 kids walk in. No big deal. A couple of the kids didn't have a mask. The kids' hands were a little dirty. No big deal. That's normal, right? When you go out. And I kind of was watching them for a little bit, and they go and they grab something. And they do this, a vegetable, then they put it back down because it's not right. Okay, so that's not right. No big deal. Go down the aisle a little bit more. They touch the next thing. They put their hands on it. It's not right. Put it back. And I'm just sitting there by the cheese, just kind of looking. Here comes a gentleman walking up, grabs the same piece of fruit, puts his hand on it. Ah, it's not right. Puts it back. So I'm like, how many people are going to do that? About 10 people did it. And they grabbed a different piece of vegetable, put it in their bag, and went. But you got to wear a mask because you might pass the corona. What about touching that fruit? So go do my shopping. I'm sitting at the checkout, and I see the gentleman in front of me use the debit card machine. Put his card in there, put his little PIN number, went on. Next guy comes up, does the same thing. Next guy comes on, and here I go. So there's 4 people. They never sanitized the keypad. So is a mask really that important, or is everything else that we're doing? So that infuriated people.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
absolutely sense the frustration, Diego. There is everything that you're saying is a legitimate concern. But for the sake of argument, let's talk about the role that government has when it comes to protect and serve, when it comes to protect, let's say, the children at school, our teachers, employers have a responsibility to protect their employees. And this pandemic caught everyone so off guard. It is a global pandemic that during our lifetime, we really are not used to doing everything that you just mentioned. It's not something that was required of us. There are some people who wash their hands more often than others. But when you're told that you have to do something a certain way, it rubs people off the wrong way because you feel that you really are being told something that you don't want to do. But you said that science played a role in how we are being told to open our businesses or close, or who decides if it's a church or Lowe's or Walmart. But what about this pandemic causing this, I want to say, wreaking havoc into our lives, our communities? This is February. March is just a few weeks away, and it is 1 year since we had this shutdown. And we've had different colors of what we're supposed to do, how many people can gather. What do you say to those who have lost loved ones. What do you say to those that are so impacted? And the loss of life is really the ultimate loss in this entire pandemic. Where do you see leadership that would have been perfect? Where do you see leadership that would have been better than what we have right now, Diego?
We talk about loss of life, and that's probably one of the saddest things around. You lose a loved one, you lose a pet that's been with you for a long time. And I know I'm kind of comparing a pet to a loved one because a pet is part of the family. I think a lot more people can relate because they probably lost a pet more than a loved one lately. My heart goes out to all the people that lost somebody because of Corona 19, because I don't think the science has been upfront. I don't think the numbers have been upfront. And I don't think that the cure has been up right away like it should have been. Unfortunately, about the recalls going on, and it's going on because exactly what you just said. People have lost a lot of loved ones. I'm not saying the virus isn't real. No means have I ever said that, and it's touchy when you lose a father. We have got to be able to open California in a safe manner, but we have actually the true numbers out, so people actually know exactly what they're dealing with. I just got back from Angeles, and I met a doctor, and I actually listened to her speak, and her name is Dr. Judy, and she worked with Fauci for a long time, and she was talking about a mask hurt you and help you because our immune systems aren't getting stronger, weaker. But every time you cough in your mask, it's going right back in you, not coming out. I think there's sides, and I think we need to listen to both sides and figure out what's best for us and our family. If you're sick, please stay home. If you can afford to stay home, if your loved one's sick, keep an eye on them, but don't get too close because you don't want to catch it. She was talking about that there's certain races, certain nationalities, certain different reasons why different people have it. She also said taking the vaccine that they just came out. She said that that's not healthy, and I just read an article today where a gentleman lost his life after the second shot of the vaccine. So I think our governor made a mistake by not being transparent, not saying this is what we have. Here's my suggestions on how to deal with this. I think the problem where he starts saying mandates, finding, don't do. We're all human beings, and we all came to America. A lot of the people that watch your show, a lot of my relatives, we came to jeopardize. We left our families. We left loved ones behind us. We left our homes hoping that we're here. And we left exactly what's going on here right now. So it's sad to see that a country like this, like the United States, can backwards into a more controlling thing and not being straight honest with the people of us, not being honest with the California people. You can look at different states and you can see where states are open, their cases are down. Texas has a high case like us, but we have almost the same population in Texas than you do here in California. I think they just handled wrong information. I think they handled wrong the way they went about it, and that's where the recall's happening. Recalls happen once in a great while, and they're not easy to do. A recall takes a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of volunteers. And if any of your viewers were out there and they volunteer for this, I just want to do because I know how many hours you got to go stand in a corner and you get somebody come in and say, no, we're doing such a great job. And you look at them and you're like, I understand your point of view. You don't like to go to work. You don't like to go to church. You don't like to see grandma and grandpa. I truly believe, Carmen, that we need to be safe. We need to be able to open our businesses in a safe manner. And if it means wearing a mask, I'd rather wear a mask and be able to go where I need to go than just be told you can only shop here, you can only go here, and you can only do that, because that's taking our freedom away. And I think people who don't wear a mask who get to this, a lot of it is because the United States was built on a constitution. And it seems to be getting taken away from everybody at different times. in different momentums. Um, Presidents change, seems like our law changes. Governors change, kind of like the same habit. Unfortunately, we need to get somebody in Sacramento right now, our legislation, our assembly people, our councilmen. I'm just going to tell everybody that's watching the show, get a good view, get a good idea of who you're voting for. I know it's tough because we just had the last election. I'm running for office one year. I'm looking at my local candidates and I'm like, who's this guy? What's he running for? What does he stand on? Because we get ourselves so involved in our lives and what's going on that we don't realize that who's running for office, what they stand for, and why they're there. So when we get over there, oh, you know what? I saw this guy's sign all over. It'd be really good, and you just check it off. But you just checked off something that you don't know. Our beliefs is on people, and that's why the recall is so important. You know, everybody's all like, "Well, what does this play with the recall?" Well, a lot of people decided to vote a party line when Gavin Newsom got voted on. We didn't look at his history in San Francisco. We didn't look at what he did to San Francisco. And now we're faced with this. So a recall is when you get 1.5 million signatures and they have a special election to remove Gavin Newsom from office. At that point, everybody who's running, myself, and about 103 people are going to be out there trying to run for the same spot. So basically, they grab all your names, they put them in a list, and they give you X amount of time to go out and introduce yourself and have people know who you are. And then the voter goes out there and the person with the most votes wins. The dangerous part about a recall. So there's a lot of good stuff because you remove the old governor that wasn't doing his job. That's like you're getting fired. And you get a vendor that can go in there and try to help some of the stuff that happened. SB 145, what we just talked about last time, which passed without anybody knowing. AB 5, which got held back. Prop 25. So you get a different governor in there to lead in a different direction, hopefully for everybody here. The bad thing about it is that it doesn't give our viewers or voters enough opportunity to get to know who you are or who's running for office or what they stand for. So those are the importance of the recall. And I just tell everybody, if you're not happy with the way California is going, go out and sign the recall. And then start doing your investigation, start doing your homework on who's running so we don't find ourselves back in this position again. This is a rough position to be in because now it makes everybody kind of hurry up. It makes guys who are running for office like myself have to hurry up and get out there and meet 40 million people and say, hey, I'm the guy for the job. And at the same time, we're looking at making change that we should not to, how we voted right.
You know, Diego, we are so close to a major, major historic election. And that could be one of the reasons that the steam into this recall is picking up. Because as a lot of communities, a lot of passion, a lot of mobilization, and I'm going to use the word polarization happened in this last 2020 presidential election. And there is still momentum in that because of the campaign took a very long time. In fact, in Modesto, Stanislaus County, we still have a runoff, and tomorrow we'll know who our mayor is. There was such a long campaign of voter registration, voter education, like you mentioned. And the premise of this program, Diego, and that's why it's so lovely to have you on this program, to have these conversations with our viewers and to share them on social media, to make sure that there is an alternative. A recall of a governor of a state of California of 40 million population, it will be a certain percentage of the registered voters that voted in the most recent election. That means the presidential election. And those signatures that are collected have to be validated through the Secretary of State. And unfortunately, some of those signatures are, deleted or voided because, as you know, the Secretary of State take this very seriously. Those signatures, as you mentioned earlier when you were speaking, It has to be exactly the same way that it appears on your voter registration affidavit. And when you vote by mail, it has to be the same signature that's on the back of your envelope that you send it in, because there are signature authenticators that check that process. However, let's say that there is enough validated signatures that are collected. What happens next? That means there will be candidates that become official candidates, and it will go to a ballot to the voters, correct?
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. And everybody who's a official candidate will be put on the voters list that day. So when you go vote, you're probably going to have 100, 120 different people running for governor at the same time. So it's actually probably going to be about one of the most fairest elections that you're going to see on a recall. Is literally everybody who's running, and everybody who's running has an opportunity to win. How much do people resonate with you? You know, you talked about the presidential election and what happened there, and people called it fraud, this and that. And I don't want to really get into that too much, because the idea of that is that we're thinking that our voices don't count, and I'd hate to think that our voices don't count. But the one thing I saw is the Syrian community comes so close together and show their patriotism for being here in America. With that said, I saw a lot of other immigrant communities just form a unity towards being proud of just being America, being proud to be here, and being proud to be able to participate in something like that. And I was actually really surprised. Like I said, I saw the Assyrian community just kind of really come together in that aspect. I saw a lot about what I hadn't seen since 2002, when I was at the Capitol a couple of times. And they're like, yeah, you know, we're here and we're proud to be Americans or being part of this. And for people from our countries, that's a joy that sometimes we don't get in our country. We don't get to voice our opinion and be out there and celebrate whichever side you're with. So I just thought that was unique, watching all the different immigrants. But like I said, I ran into some people that I've known in the Turlock that I hadn't seen since 2002 that we worked together. And
Yeah.
to me, it was like, wow, you guys are here. Yeah, we love being Americans. Because, you know, when you work with somebody, politics never really comes up. And that's what I tell everybody. Think about that when you go vote, that the guy who you probably had lunch with today or had over your house, you never asked him what party are you with. You like the person. You know they could do the job, so you have them over your house because you become friends. And I think it's sad in this country that we have let political parties separate us and create hate, because look around. When you go out to look at all the different nationalities that we have here. You know what racism is? This is my belief, sorry. When we put a race, a color, a creed in front of something. Black Lives Matter. That's kind of like pulling that only their life matters, not everybody else's. And that's just a little example. I'll use one of Donald Trump's things that I never liked. Unemployment rate, Hispanic unemployment. Hispanic. Why does it have to be women? Why does it have to be black? Why does it have to be Asian? Why can't we be unemployment for the United States is at its lowest ever across the board? See, I believe the racism we created by putting a title on something and a title on someone. So, with that being said, I was very honored to be part
You
of the
have mail.
movement of the patriot world, of the different nationalities and people who are immigrants, to be able to voice our opinion and join different nationalities in this. It was really nice to see, and I'm looking forward to the recall race to see the unity of everybody. I think if we can unite California with what I just said, just being human beings, being Californians first, we're all here for a reason. I don't care where you come from. The minute you set foot in America, the minute you set foot in California and you make a life in California, you're a Californian before wherever you came from, because you're here now. This is our country. And together.
Absolutely. I so agree with what you're saying, Diego, that we have pride in ownership of communities. California being so diverse, you know, a Syrian community has really over a century of a very unique history beginning in Turlock and the Central Valley, and of course, California and Northern California and Southern California, being a beautiful state as it is, a lot of us have our organizations here, our churches here. There is a sense of community. There is a sense of this is where our kids are born. This is where we raise our children. This is where we pay taxes. And as you said, with each election, especially the presidential elections, Diego, there is so much mobilization that happens. There is that getting to know our candidates. There is getting to know their values. Who are we voting for and why? Is it because of party? Is it because we trust their experience in business? Is it because they have certain values that we admire? People vote differently. There is the Second Amendment, there is pro-life. For some reason, that's all that can make them vote for that individual. There are individuals that are only pro-business because they feel if economically they're doing well, everything else falls into place. What is your base of your campaign when it comes to, there is always the top three that I always ask candidates. There's, public safety, there is jobs, there is employment. And then you get into the really nitty gritty. But tell us the top three tiers of your campaign and what you believe in your running for governor of California, Diego.
So number one right now is probably public safety. I kind of shifted way around a little bit. I don't believe in defunding the police. I think that everybody in every community is safe. They should be able to go outside. They should be able to know a police officer. Police officers need to go back to walking the neighborhoods and getting along with people. So we have to give them the right funding and the right training. We have a severe homeless problem. We talked about this last time I was on with you. We had a gentleman who was a mayor put $93 million into a hotel for the homeless. Well, $93 million would have taken my mental health plan to get 80% out of the people that are homeless into mental health. That would have lasted us for 9 years. For 9 years, you could have had 70% of the homeless people off the street in your city, but you chose to buy them a hotel with no nothing. We're going to take the old military bases and the old warehouse. We're going to convert those into bedroom apartments for the other 30% of the homeless, and we're going to give them rehab, some trade schools, and we're going to do opportunities for people to learn skills. So that's very important because we have to give people a hand up, not a handout. And you do that by not putting a room and just walk the street into a hotel because you can only fit so many people there. So the idea is to get them housing, give them job training, get them the rehab centers that they need so they can be productive members of society. One of the greatest things right now, if you're in the Central Valley, I'm promising you, Governor of California, I'm going to do my hardest to redo the water situation. So our farm water. I had the pleasure of meeting the Sikh people right there in Sirius is really where they're at. Houston, I believe. Sirius, Houston, they're right next to each other. And they did a rally, and I was there, and I had the pleasure of speaking with them. And once you speak with them, you understand how important water is. People take that for granted. I mean, you go home, you turn on your faucet, hey, it's no big deal. But I've worked with Roy, Salinas, the Central Valley. I worked so Stockton. If you look at Stockton, those are agricultural places that are communities. The immigrants, we're the ones out there really farming and growing. And whether you're a farmer or whether you're the truck driver that takes the produce from one end to the other, we're all tied together. And I didn't realize, I knew we had a water problem. But till that day when I sat there and talked to them and actually understood what the water problem is, because if they control your water, they control your food growth. They control everything. So ideally, we need to make more dams to sustain our water. President Trump at the time came to California. He regulated the federal rights to the water and the little fish swim. And that bill's been sitting in Talbot Gavin Newsom's desk since a couple of years now. Donald Trump came and did it because he knows California needed the water. So what happens right now is we have to dump the water into the ocean to let a little fish live. My deal is let's get the fish, let's put them in like a trout farm, what you call a trout farm, where they can grow, they can get their eggs, they can do what they need to do, but put the water in new dams and actually to be so our Central Valley farmers will never have that problem again because we are one of the richest states with water, and
Mhm.
yet we're always out of water. So about top three, those are them. But then I mean, you talk about tax cuts, you can talk minimum wage and why it's not a good idea to raise minimum wage. Where it's better to lower your so that you have more money, making less money an hour, but you actually have more money because you get to keep more of your money than you getting $15 an hour because now your employer is paying 24 $5 an hour for that same employee when you do all the taxes and things like that. So ideally, you want to cut taxes. Now, if you guys been driving around lately in California, I don't know if you guys noticed that our gas went up 20 to 30 cents, depending where you.
Mhm.
Because first of all, we have a California tax on our gas. Now the federal government says cents on more than others, and people say, "No, that's not right." I said, "You're right, it's not." Go back and look. And when you start like, yeah, I never noticed it was three. I just came from the grapevine. On the top of the grapevine, there's a Valero on the left hand side, $4
Yeah.
2 cents a gallon. I get
Wow.
over to the other side, and I'm like, we're almost at $5 a gallon in some of these places. Now you might find a gas station that's like 320, 330, and you're stopping there. I don't care if you need gas or not. At this moment, you need gas because you're saving almost 80 cents. So when we talk about what environment, those are my core. You can go on any of my social media and ask me any of your concerns. I will address them all. I believe in California solutions for real California problems. I don't believe that we need to put on anything anymore. I think that the buck stops here in our generation. I think it's time for us to take for us and say enough's enough.
Mhm.
It's time to fix our problems. So that's a little rundown about what I'm about.
Unfortunately, we have some technical difficulties, but I do believe you made the points that you made because the water problem that you talked about, I live in the Central Valley and I work with the Assemblyman Heath Flora, where water is really the top discussion when it comes to our farmers. The Central Valley is the breadbasket of the world. So the water that we sell to others, the fighting over water, there's a very famous saying that whiskey is for drinking, water is for fighting over. And to have someone that is in office that understands the dynamic of how that process works and to understand how it's the lifeline of the Central Valley. Of course, we have the Silicon Valley, we have Southern California. California is the third largest economy in the world. There are so many different ways that we can talk about. But in conclusion, Diego, when we were really basically talking about the recall effort actually began before COVID hit. So there are issues that even though the impact of COVID and how the leadership has impacted our economy, our education, our schools, and etc., and now access to vaccine, but it's really been about overtaxation. It's been about over regulation. So that's one of the things that we hear from people who are saying that, we're leaving California. Too much taxation, too much regulation. But now with COVID, of course, there's a lot more to talk about. So this is a very unique time when it comes to our recall. And we really want every viewer, every registered voter, every Californian to know that this is a unique part of our democracy. We just went over a huge election, whether you agree or not with how the results were. But we have this democracy. We have a constitution. Our states give us this opportunity, this privilege, I call it, as registered voters to have the opportunity to unseat a governor, a sitting governor, a 4-year term. And, it's very interesting that we really want our viewers to be informed and engaged and to really know what they're signing for. What that signature that they sign in front of the grocery store or in front of, wherever it is that they're being coming in contact with these individuals, because people are afraid to sign. People are saying, "What does this mean? Where does my signature go? How will I have?" How will they have access to my information? So it's conversations like this, Diego, and I'm hoping that when you have the opportunity to stop by in our neck of the woods, we can have more in-person contact with you. And really, just like you said with the Sikh community, I've had the privilege of attending their Sikh awareness events that they do. They are farmers, they are businessmen, they are, really, they have embraced this Americanism, as we call it, the capitalism. They work hard, they pay taxes, but they also believe in the right and privilege they have that they can vote, they can make a difference. They run for office, they hold office. And as a community, as diverse as we are, the Assyrian community also, we have a lot of farmers and property owners and entrepreneurs and business owners and scholars, and it just goes on and on. And I really think it's a wonderful opportunity when you're about to come out to the Central Valley. Hopefully, if the circumstances allow it, we can have a little one-on-one and talk about business owners and see what ideas you have that they can hear from you, because it's really a time for leadership right now. Whether you agree with what's there, if you're happy with the status quo, or maybe you're ready for a change, but you need to know what you're voting for and what the change is. So thank you for sharing your ideas with us, and thank you for this exchange and this dialogue.
Carmen, it's always a pleasure to be out and talking with you. I'm actually in the Central Valley quite a bit. Next time I go out and I got some time, let's get together and let's get the business owners and the small community, the Syrian community, the Sikh community. Let's get people together and let's talk. The beautiful thing about this is that when I'm out there, you can just ask me questions. And I'm a small business owner. Also, I ran big corporations, but right now we're here in my small business. So I get it. Boy, when we get taxed to death, right? And everybody talks about taxes in California. The thing that we are going to do, we're going to do a third-party audit in California. Basically, we're going to get somebody from somewhere else that has absolutely nothing to do with California to come in, audit California before I take office. Once I take office, what we're going to do is make sure that the money's funneling to the right places and that things are going in the right place. The Central Valley will get the water because I understand we need our food. I've been watching it now. You watch the way our prices go up because there's not enough food out there. We can't do that. We have too many people that depend on it. We have too many people that depend on the jobs. We have got to be back to job friendly, working, deregulating California to our taxes, make it a livable state where we're not getting taxed to death or we're not getting taxed to get out of California. And it's a shame to see such a beautiful state be in the conditions that's in right now. But with that being said, go sign the recall if you want to make a difference. And the reason you're signing the recall, you have to do it for your own reasons. And what I mean by that is if you want to go to church and you actually want to go outside of church, if you want to go back to work, if your businesses are falling apart and you don't know where to turn, here's where you're going to turn because the recall is going to help us reopen our businesses. Our kids are losing 4 years by sitting in front of these computers trying to figure out how the school is. Our education system's at its lowest right now, also because of the same thing. There's other reasons, but this is one of them. If you care about your future and your kids' future, it's a good time to go sign the recall. If you care about God and you want to actually walk into a church and be able to honor your religion, and somebody told me this the other day, you can praise God wherever you're at. You can pray for Him. You can talk about God. They are correct. You can. But all of us who are immigrants, we sacrificed our whole lives to come to a free country. A free country to be able to make decisions, a free country where we have the right for religion, we have the right of speech, we have the right to express ourselves, and that right's getting taken away from us. This is how you get your rights back. This is how you get your freedom. We don't have to travel a million miles away. We don't have to worry about leaving somebody or somebody dying along the way. We go sign the recall and we stand behind what we're doing. And I'll say this again. My heart goes out to every family who lost somebody through COVID-19 because I feel that that didn't really have to happen and we didn't have to lose that many lives. Had our governor, our have been upfront with us and actually told us what we were facing. I believe that a lot of us Californians got the virus back in December and January before anybody even knew what it was. We were able to do it. I got the fear that our government is staying in everybody, even though I know it's real. But there's a safe way to conduct ourselves. There's a safe way to do business, and we're going to find it. We're going to all pull together. And when I say we're all in this together, I'm in it with you guys. I go to work every day. I lost a business because of it, but I've been fortunate and I didn't lose the ultimate prize like a lot of you, and that's somebody's life. So I can never replace somebody's life like that. The only thing I can say is that I'm going to do everything that I can to make my time in office the best time that you guys have and be able to listen to each and every single one of you guys when I'm around because I can't stay by myself. I need all your help. I need everybody's help because everybody has to know how things are and how they should work. But if we come united and we all talk about it, we can fix problems and for solutions in California.
Thank you, Diego, for those very wise and heartfelt comments. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of those who have lost loved ones. There's no comparison to the loss of a loved one. And we do know that this pandemic is a deadly pandemic in our lifetime, but it has raised a lot of questions and challenges on the leadership of it, on the fact that now it's the access to vaccination, for example, and our children are being cheated out of their education right now. But this invisible, as we call it, this pandemic, the fear is always of the unknown. So leadership counts, integrity counts. And thank you for those comments and those words. Please let us know how our viewers can follow you on social media so they know your activities, they know where you go, which events you're attending, and if they happen to be close by, they can attend and really follow you to make sure they know what kind of events they can attend and find out more information on the recall.
So, DiegoMartinezForGovernor.com. That's my website, and we try to keep everybody posted on where I'm going to be that week or that weekend. Diego Martinez for Governor 2020, which is surprising because we made a mistake when we did that. We thought it was going to say 2022, but we put 2020, and now it's almost becoming reality with the recall on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are in all the social medias. Look for Diego Martinez for Governor, and it'll exploit all our websites, and you just pick the one you want to go to. I'm trying to be up and down California as much as I can. So if there's an event, and any of your viewers out there, anybody in the Central Valley has an event, you want me to join you, anybody down south in LA or up north, I'm everywhere. Do me a favor, go to my Facebook page, Diego Martinez for Governor 2020. It'll say unofficial because I can't change the name. Facebook won't let me, but it's okay. You know who I am. Just go in there, send us a message, say, hey, we're having this event, wherever you're having it, whether it's somebody's baptism, wedding, I don't care. You want to have a backyard barbecue? Invite me. If I'm in the area, I love to go. I just love to meet people and give you guys an opportunity to talk. I think that's how we're going to make a difference in California and the United States, is going back to the old-fashioned handshake, who I am and what I'm about. I was listening to a radio show today, and a lady said, her dad used to say, you only come in this world with two things, your name and your integrity. If you lose one, you lose the other. To me, I remember they saying a man's word or a man's handshake or a man's word is his honor. And I still believe in that. I still believe that if I give you my word on something, I'm going to do it. You don't need to worry if I'm going to do it or not. I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it, you can hold me up to it, because that's called accountability. And what we want is a better future for all of us. Don't care what party line you're with. This isn't about party line. This is about every human being that lives in California and being in California for a better future where we can all raise our kids, go to church, and live what the American dream that we came to live, and not have to worry about having to go to another state, because that's not right. That's not fair. We're Californians. We need to stay here. And it's time that we fight for our state, just like we fought for our freedom coming over here, just the way we fought for a better future. I never thought that we'd be fighting for it here in California or here in the United States, but now we are. And I need everybody to get behind me and help me do it, because with your help, we can accomplish the whole world. We already did. Look where we're at.
Thank you, Diego. We look forward to hearing from you again. And just as a reminder to our viewers, the deadline on the recall is coming up. It's in mid-March. So that's when we will know if there is enough signatures for this effort to go forward. And then we'll find out when the Secretary of State will decide it will be on the ballot. But thank you again for joining me, Diego. Thank you for the opportunity for this dialogue. And I'm hoping that we will have an opportunity to have a little get together with you, whether it's at a local business, to hear ideas on how we can do better. There is always that hope that we can do better, things can get better. Thank you for joining me, and good luck with all of your efforts and your campaign, Diego.
Thank you, Carmen, and thank everybody who's out there watching. It was a pleasure talking with you guys again. And don't lose the hope and don't lose the faith. That's with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This concludes my conversation with Diego Martinez, candidate for the California governorship, and also our conversation on the recall of the California governor. Join me next time on The Modern Assyrian on ANB.
You have mail.